Good morning. I know that a lot of people have wanted me to do another show about the MGTOW movement and the Me Too movement backfiring, and I will. I will do that. But I would be remiss as Political Paula if I did not discuss the government shutdown. And I want to start off with a backstory because my mom worked for the federal government. She worked for the Social Security Administration. And I remember back in the early 90s, it was during the Clinton administration, that the Republicans in that case attached a bill trying to defund Planned Parenthood. It had nothing to do with the actual budget that Bill Clinton and the Democrats were trying to get through the House and Senate to keep the government open. But we all know that the Republicans, for the most part, especially the right wing of the Republicans, really hate allowing women to choose what happens to our reproductive organs. They think that they own our bodies. It's the only place that Republicans back then felt that we need big government to force women to have children they didn't want, die having children, and have their children's or their rapists' children. And so they attached this bill to try to get rid of abortion to the budget. They shut down the government, and my mother did not get paid for a month. Now, my mother did not have a big savings account. She didn't have extra money laying around to buy food and pay the bills. And so she was very scared. And when the government reopened, and remember this, if any federal employee starts coming out crying, I'm not getting paid, what? No, at least when this happened to my mother, again, for an issue that had nothing to do with the actual budget, they just attached it to try to get something done, get their way. The Republicans did at the time. My mother did get all her money back retroactively. She got her payback, her back pay. But it was tough, and she was scared because she had no income for 4 weeks. And for a single mom, supporting both herself and my elderly grandmother, that was scary. Actually, my grandmother was dead at the time. Sorry. The timing is off. But again, my mother went through this. And again, that time it was the Republicans holding the Democratic budget hostage because of an issue that was important to them, trying to stop women from having the choice on whether or not to be pregnant. And this time around, it's the good old Democrats that are holding the government hostage. Now, you're going to be surprised, and some of you may want to save this show for posterity and remind me of it later when I get pissed at Donald Trump again. But surprisingly enough, I'm not mad at Donald Trump right now. I am super, super angry at the Democrats because this is their fault. This is my opinion, but I've been listening for 2 days now about this government shutdown and why the government is being shut down, why our stock market is going to fall, why my retirement account is probably going to lose money. And it's all about this DREAM Act, this DACA thing. Has nothing to do with the budget. In fact, the DACA thing won't even be an issue until March. But the Democrats said, oh, no, no, no. DACA is being attached to the budget. And if you don't give in to us on DACA and let all these illegal kids stay here with no questions asked and no fear of deportation, probably even if they commit crimes, then we're not going to pass the budget and we're going to shut the government down. That's what I'm hearing. That Democrats in the Senate and the House care more about illegal kids who don't even have Social Security numbers, whose parents have never paid one dime in taxes, and if the voting booths are working properly, shouldn't even be allowed to vote. And they're putting these people before American citizens, before you, before me, before my husband, before our family, who were born in this country and are having our health care stolen, our welfare and food stamps stolen, our college education stolen by these DACA kids. Now look, put your thumbs away. I know you're all getting ready to call me a racist and anti-Hispanic. Hey, I'm married to a Hispanic. Don't play that card. I'm married to a Hispanic person who is proud to pay his taxes, whose father and parents and grandparents were proud to pay taxes in this country. And by the way, he's from Puerto Rico, his family. They are American citizens, in case we forgot. By the way, while we're fighting for these illegals with no social security numbers, whose parents snuck into our country illegally, there are still millions of American citizens down in Puerto Rico who 8 months after Hurricane Maria have no power and no safe water, whose kids aren't going to school because the government, their government, America, won't help them. So let's think about that as we continue with this story. Okay? That the Democrats are fighting for illegals when American citizens are in Puerto Rico suffering, not going to school. I'm going to ask a few questions during this show, and if some of you know the answers and can call me out if I'm wrong, please let me know. Now, of course, we don't arrest children for the crimes of their parents. If we go into a house and the parents are selling drugs, we don't arrest the children. We arrest the parents. But I also don't think that we give the children a free college education. We don't give the children free food and free schooling and all this other stuff that the DACA kids are getting. Now let's remember what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about American citizens. I'm not talking about kids whose pregnant moms snuck over the border in the 9th month of their pregnancy and gave birth to an American citizen, like the Russians are doing with the approval of our government. Not talking about that. I'm talking about these kids that have done interviews on the news saying that they're in 4-year colleges. And I'd like to know how they afforded to go to 4-year college when their parents have no legal status here. They're probably working very minimum wage jobs, never paid a dime of income tax in their life. How are their kids going to 4-year college? Well, they're getting scholarships, aren't they? Now, how did they come to get these scholarships when they have no social security card and they work part-time? Say, how can any company hire them to work part-time? Will McDonald's hire someone without a social security card who is here illegally? Every time I went to get a job, I had to provide my social security card, proof of citizenship in this country. And yet these kids are not only working part-time jobs, they're also going to 4-year college. College that many American citizens cannot afford for their children. American taxpayers. Their kids are not getting these scholarships. Why? Well, do the math. Figure it out. Now, this show has always had the opinion that affirmative action is wrong, just like giving trophies to little leaguers just for showing up for practice is wrong. You reward people for being the best. Now, that can go both ways. But this is my question. If there is a student, a high school student with a 4.0 grade average, and a DACA kid with a 3.4 grade point average, and they both apply for the same scholarship, who gets the scholarship? And I'm going to tell you that it is more likely the DACA kid will get the scholarship because they have a couple extra things they can check in the boxes when they apply to college. Are you a minority? Yes. And how much more of a minority can you be if your parents are criminals just by breathing the air in the house that you live in the United States and you have no social security card? It's pretty much a minority. These kids have gotten free elementary education, K through 12. They've gotten food stamps. They've gotten welfare. They've gotten free health care. All because their parents committed a crime. Some of you may say, don't punish the children for the parents' crime. And I say they're stealing from us. Because I know people in my own life, actually, who were working really hard to put themselves through college and raising a child as a single mother and didn't qualify for welfare or food stamps. Now, maybe if she had been from Tijuana and her kid was considered a dreamer, maybe she would have gotten all that free stuff that we give to these dreamers who are stealing American dreams. I don't know. But I do know that this is on the Democrats. And they're acting like school children. I heard today, first of all, the Republicans, who now I kind of respect for this, are saying, we will visit the DACA issue. We will be willing to talk about it, to come to a compromise as soon as you allow the government to reopen. You know what the Democrats said? That's what the Democrats did. They said, we will not let the government reopen until you sign off on what we want for these illegal kids for DACA. We want them all to be able to stay here. Which brings me to my next question. Of course, all the news stations who are pro-immigration and pro-DACA are going to put these successful stories on their news shows. Oh, I know my parents came here illegally, but this is the only country I've ever known, and I'm working hard. I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to go into tech. I've got a bright future here in America. But guess who they don't put on TV? And they're out there. The DACA kids who are kind of troublemakers. The ones who have gotten in trouble with the law. The ones who, because of DACA, have not been able to be properly deported for dealing drugs or being caught underage drinking or committing crimes or hanging out in gangs in our neighborhoods. I mean, we don't have enough American kids who are gangsters. We need to bring them in. And because they're dreamers, let them stay and commit crimes. They're out there. You just don't hear their stories because they're not as poignant. They don't tug at your heartstrings. Oh, don't punish this bright young woman. She's going to be a doctor and cure cancer someday. I don't know. The bottom line is the law. And the law says, look, if you want to become a United States citizen, there are ways to do it. Legal ways. But these people didn't do that. They felt that they were entitled to sneak over the border and set up shop here in America and take all of our benefits for their children and never pay a dime for them. Sure, they live in fear, they hide, they get paid under the table, meaning they don't have to pay those pesky little income taxes that all of us have to pay. And then they tell their children, you entitled to free college. Go to college, vamos, higher educación. Yeah, my Spanish is rough, huh? I guess if the Democrats get their way, my Spanish better get a lot better. Although, as they say, these DACA kids don't even know Spanish. Well, that is hard to believe, considering their parents don't speak English. But the Democrats and the Republicans, right now, I am in the Republican boat. Because the Republicans want the law followed. And here's how you follow the law. And this is what I would agree with as a compromise. Okay, you've proven that you are smart. You were brought here through no choice of your own by your criminal parents. You're in college, you got accepted to college, you get good grades, you're a hard worker. Here's what we do. You take the test. Pledge your loyalty to the United States of America. Take the test. We'll give you the go-ahead. You will pledge your loyalty to the United States of America. Your parents are going back to Tijuana. But you get an opportunity right now, even though for your entire life you have been committing a crime and stealing from your American neighbors. stealing health care, stealing food stamps, stealing education, stealing welfare. We'll give you the pass. You take the test, you pass it. You get your social security number. You start paying taxes. And when you graduate college and you get that really awesome job that you say you are qualified for, your paycheck is going to be taken away, some of it. You're going to repay all the taxes that your illegal parents breaking the law didn't pay. You're going to give back to the community you stole from your entire life, either through your paycheck or community service. Somebody needs to pay for the crimes that these illegal immigrants have committed by living in our communities, taking the benefits away from American citizens, even taking jobs from American citizens, even though I admit to you, no American citizen really wants the jobs that these hardworking, and they do work hard. They don't want to mow other people's lawns. They don't want to watch other people's kids. They don't want to clean other people's toilets. Americans don't want that. But one thing Americans also don't want is someone coming in here and getting welfare, food stamps, Medicaid, and a free education, and their kids not getting that. I'd be pretty pissed off right now if I had an 18-year-old who needed a scholarship to get a 4-year college education, and I found out that some Jose Rodriguez from Tijuana, whose parents have been here for many years, but this kid is completely illegal, no social security card, he gets into college, and my kid doesn't. I would be pissed, and you should be pissed. You can hear the terrifying, horrifying stories of how horrible Tijuana is. They did a story the other day about an elementary school in Tijuana. It looked like any elementary school in America. And they're even helping some of these kids whose parents have been deported. Guess what the story they told was? I thought this was interesting. This little boy named George was born in Bakersfield, California. But his father and mother were deported back to Tijuana. And now he's in elementary school there. And he cries because he misses his friends. He's like 10 years old. But his father is renovating a beach house right on the beach, right in the ocean, for them to live in. And guess why his father was deported? Guess why they got caught? Because his father was a drug dealer. They admitted it. So that's why little George is going to elementary school in Tijuana instead of Bakersfield, California. Because his father sold drugs that kills other people's fathers, that kills kids. He sold drugs. So that's why George is going to elementary school in Tijuana. George is an American citizen. So when he turns 18, he can come back to Bakersfield, California and do whatever he wants as an American citizen. But his daddy can't, because his daddy is not only a criminal for coming onto American soil illegally, but then he broke the laws of America by selling drugs, illegal drugs. So I think George is exactly where little 10-year-old George belongs, in an elementary school in Tijuana. And the teachers in the elementary school in Tijuana are doing everything they can to make George happy. Just like in America, we force teachers to learn Spanish to teach these English as a second language kids. Well, the schools in Tijuana are getting ready. They are now teaching their teachers how to speak English so that these new kids that are coming from America will be able to learn in the language that they were raised with in America before their parents sold drugs and committed crimes and got deported, as should happen. Yeah, I feel sorry for George. But again, I don't feel sorry for drug dealers. No, I don't. And this is something else I'm going to leave you with today. It's something that I'm going to be talking about a lot next week. And it's a story I've been working on since since January 1st. Something that happened to me and my family. For all of you who might not like what I said here today, there's a bigger threat than Mexicans, than DACA, than people who sneak onto our soil illegally. Because there are people out in the world, thanks to the internet and certain offshore companies that set up shop here in America, there is a big threat right now that there are people out there stealing your jobs who have never set foot on American soil. They've never even been to America, but they're taking your jobs. So while DACA concerns me a lot because of the fact that I think American children should be able to expect a college scholarship if they've earned it and not be denied that scholarship because people feel sorry for the poor immigrant with no Social Security card whose parents have never paid taxes and who has basically lived off the United States government, the Democratic government. The Democrats love giving shit away, giving our money to these people. So there is a bigger threat, though. And it's a threat that many of you don't even know about because it happens behind closed doors. It happens over phone lines and emails. And you won't know it until it happens to you. And it happened to me and my husband on December 31st, 2017. And I will be talking about it, what I've learned, good lessons learned, but also what you should know. And so unless you really are into being a landscaper or a lawn service person or a weed whacker or a nanny or a maid, maybe you're going to want to listen to my shows next week because there is a bigger threat out there. And believe me, it's not DACA. It's not the Mexicans. It's not the Haitians. It's the Indians. And no, not the American Indians. So put your thumbs away. And it's the Russians. And people from many, many different countries who are stealing your jobs and they don't even have to step foot on American soil. And the American companies who hire them know all about it. And they don't care because it saves them money. Billion-dollar companies letting foreigners steal your jobs. And it's not illegal. And neither are those who are stealing your jobs. They're not illegal. They're not even in America. So stay tuned. That's it for me for today. Love shows and grows. And while I do not want to be called a racist in any way, shape, or form, I will say this. I rarely agree with Donald Trump. But I am starting to be of the mindset of America first and Americans first. We were born here. We've actually earned it by paying taxes, a lot of taxes for some of us. And we should get first dibs at the scholarships, at the health care, at the food, and at the jobs. Political Paula, out.